Hi there, I'm Sherry Forsyth. I'm a peak performance coach, and today I'm asking you to join me on the second video in the series of being authentic. In the first video, we spoke about why it's so difficult in today's society to live an authentic life. And essentially, the reasons that we find it difficult is because of the demands that society places on us. And we feel we need to change who we are in order to be accepted by society. We also find it difficult to live authentically because we are frightened of the judgment of other people. The need to be perfect, because anything less than that is not accepted. And then lastly, the thing that makes it difficult for us to live authentically is the fear of our own vulnerability. And the fact that we feel that maybe we're not enough. So today what I'm speaking about is how masks come into the picture. And these are not the COVID masks that we are all very familiar with. These are the false personas that we put into ourselves as a way of protecting ourselves. So as soon as we are wearing a mask, we're not being exactly who we are. We aren't able to be authentic. So masks and authenticity don't go hand in hand. We have one or the other. Okay, so why do we wear masks? Why do we feel the need to cover up who we are? Okay, so here are a few reasons why we wear masks. The first one is that we feel that we're not good enough. We feel that we won't be accepted for exactly who we are. There's a very old book by a chap called John Powell called Why I'm Afraid to Tell You Who I Am. And that is really what we're speaking about now. Imagine if I am vulnerable enough to show you exactly who I am and you don't like it. Imagine. Then I've got to deal with rejection and failure and everything else in addition to me not being who I am. Okay. The second reason we wear masks is we need to be accepted. Brené Brown talks a lot about that need for belonging. We need to be accepted by other people. And these masks help us to fit in. It helps us to change our personality and fit in with what the rest of society wants us to be. Okay, so even though these masks make us very inauthentic, they serve their purpose. Okay, so we can, for example, use a mask to cover our anxiety. We can use a mask to cover our uncertainty. The other reason we wear masks is to hide hurt and any of those other negative emotions, maybe anger, maybe a low self-esteem. We wear a mask to hide what we don't want other people to see. And then lastly, we wear a mask to cover a possible weakness or what we think might make us look weak. So the example I want to use is many years ago, one of my husband's closest friends was very brutally murdered. And the parents fell apart completely. And my husband, at the age of, I think we were about 30 then, he had to organize the whole funeral, sort out all the admin of it, plus he had to give the eulogy on the day. And when he was speaking at this funeral, he came across as being quite matter of fact and quite unemotional. And that was the mask that he had to wear at that time because he couldn't afford to cry in front of a whole audience. He felt that would be weak. So the mask he used to make sure he could get through the very emotional service was one of matter of fact, kind of how he would cope with work-related things. What the business is, that's how he would do it. So what you also need to know is that we don't wear masks all the time, and we don't wear masks necessarily in all areas of our lives. We can wear masks in only some of the areas, and the other areas we can be authentic. So the areas that we're going to live, that we're going to show our masks in, are the areas that we are uncertain of ourselves. We're not sure that how we're going to be is going to be accepted. So we put a mask on. Let's name a few masks, and I'm sure you can think of some yourself. So we can wear masks that we're very outgoing, when in fact maybe we're introverted. We can show that we're competent, or pretend that we're competent, when actually we're very uncertain of what we're doing. We can pretend that we're friendly, when actually maybe we don't want to have company. We can pretend we're intelligent. We can pretend we're caring, naughty, adventurous, like we don't really care if somebody's hurt us. We can be pushy, we can be bossy. There are a huge number of masks that we use, and many of them are very unattractive. So we will wear a mask when in a particular area of our life where we don't feel that we are good enough. We are lacking confidence to know that we are okay. And these masks are masks of inauthenticity. Does that make sense? So our real self doesn't come out. We put a mask there to show everybody how perfect we are. And that is one of the worst masks of being inauthentic, is the mask of perfectionism, which we spoke about a little bit in the last video. It's probably one of the most common. Okay, we have to pretend our lives are perfect and everything is perfect, because otherwise we won't be accepted for who we are. We cannot accept that we're going to make a mistake, because that will make us too anxious. So we need to enlist the aid of the mask of perfectionism to show that we're okay. We can't afford to show people that we actually are not 100%, that we are perfect. So one of the biggest and most toxic masks is the mask of perfectionism. One of the devastating effects of living with a mask or masks is that we distance ourselves from somebody else. We are wired for connection, and our hearts can sense when someone is being authentic or not through the help of mirror neurons and all sorts of things that I don't want to go into now. But I'm sure you yourself, you can tell when somebody is really being authentic, and you can tell when someone's being false. Okay. So what happens if we wear a mask is instead of us being able to talk to each other and connect heart to heart, because I've now got a mask in front of me, it means that I can't connect heart to heart. So I'm removing myself from that deep and authentic connection. And the more masks I wear, the less authentic connection I'm going to be able to have. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you are really battling with something in your life, and someone says to you, hi Sherry, how are you? If we say, I'm fine, thank you, it stops that person from authentically connecting with me, even if they might want to. They might know I'm battling with something, but the minute I say I'm fine, they'll back off. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that what we need to do is really pin people's ears back and tell them about how hideous our life is. I'm not talking about the flooding, which is what Brené Brown talks about, where you say so much and it's actually unacceptable. I'm not saying you must do that either. So how can we cope with that? I don't want to flood. I don't necessarily feel they deserve to hear my story, but how can I still be authentic? So an example I'd like to use from after when our daughter died. Instead of saying I was fine, because I patently wasn't, I would say something like, today's a bit of a tough day, but I'm sure tomorrow will be much better. So you still are allowing the positivity to come through, but also the authenticity. Okay, so not all masks are necessarily bad. I've been speaking about the ones that seem to be particularly bad, but some are actually quite good masks. So I'm going to give you another example. When our daughter Kathleen broke her arm at school, and it was a very bad break, when I went to collect her from school to take her to the doctors, there were a number of the staff members there and the principal, and I couldn't afford to show how distraught I was or how upset I was, because I needed to be calm for Kathleen. So in that case, I wore a mask of being calm, that everything would be okay, so that I would not upset Kathleen anymore. She was probably about 11 when that happened. Okay, so we can wear masks that are positive if we are trying to help somebody else and creating an atmosphere or an attitude that is helpful to them. Okay, so when we are panicking, maybe we need to wear a mask showing that we are brave. So there are some good masks that we need to wear. And speaking about the masks and how to get rid of them, I'm definitely not speaking about those. So when are masks bad if we can have good masks and bad masks? Okay, the bad masks are the ones that limit ourselves or stop ourselves from being our true self. Okay, we're covering what we really think or feel or want to do by something else that might be a little bit more acceptable, we think. Okay, so they're bad when they don't allow us to show who we really are. And they also are bad when they stop us from connecting authentically with the people who mean a lot to us in our lives. I hope that makes sense to you. So just jot down in the comment box below some of the masks that maybe you wear, good or bad. Can you think of some of the masks that you wear? Okay, so how can we now use masks to help us live authentically? In other words, use that inauthenticity to help us to become more authentic. Okay, there are a few steps, and obviously there's a lot of ways that you can do this. These are just a few suggestions for you. The first thing we have to do if we're wanting to drop our masks is to become aware of the fact that we are in fact hiding behind a mask. Okay, they might almost have become a permanent part of who we are. So we need to be able to have the emotional awareness to identify, that is a mask. So step one is awareness. The second step is to work out what true part of ourselves we are covering up. Okay, what emotion, what action, or what feeling are we trying to hide by the fact that we've got the mask in place? The third step is to work out, what am I so afraid of? Why do I have to wear a mask to cover that certain emotion or action? What are the consequences that I'm frightened of? Try and determine what they are, because as we all know, fear is one of the major things that will block us and stop us from doing lots of things. Okay, so what are you afraid of? Why do you have to cover it up? Why do you not feel accepted? Okay, step 4, if you are wearing a mask to hide hurt or anger or one of those supposed negative emotions, then what we have to do is find a healthy way to let go of the negative emotion. And I'm not going to discuss that in detail now. It could probably be about 10 videos all on its own. But we need to, if we are covering anger and we know what it's for, we need to find a healthy way to release the anger. Go for a run, get a punch bag, scream into a pillow. We all know those kind of things. Okay, and then the last step is take the risk of being authentic. Let that mask fall away. And it can be done very gradually, or you can do it suddenly. It's up to you. Work with it. And the way we do that is on a daily basis, we choose authenticity. We choose to let people know exactly how we are feeling. And we risk maybe being rejected or not accepted or not fitting in. But we are being true to ourselves and our feelings. So I know that this will feel uncomfortable at first because our default mode has been always to have a mask. So lean into that discomfort. And I challenge you to say what you really feel rather than what other people are wanting to hear, rather than saying things purely so that you can fit in and belong. So I challenge you now, what is one mask that you are going to drop from today, or try and drop from today? What is the mask that is limiting you, that you would like to get rid of so that you can be totally authentic in the way you relate to other people? So I give you a minute or two just to think about it. What mask are you going to undertake to work with and to try and drop? I do have a process, a more detailed process of how to drop a mask. So if you are interested in getting that exercise, just send me a message in Facebook Messenger, or you can email me at sherryforsyth@gmail.com, and I'll very gladly give you that exercise. It's slightly more detailed. Okay, so in conclusion, we hide behind masks when we are not certain that our true, authentic selves will be accepted or liked. So we change ourselves to fit in. We change ourselves by wearing acceptable masks. So once again, I want to repeat what I said in the last video on being authentic. You are enough, just as you are. I'll say it again. You are enough, just as you are. So I challenge you on a daily basis to make those choices, inauthentic or authentic, and let's ease towards the authentic. Okay, show us who you really are. Don't hide yourself from us. If you can be authentic and gradually getting more and more authentic, then maybe you'll be able to influence others also to have the courage to be authentic. So I invite you to be brave, be courageous, and be who you really, really are. Takes away a lot of pressure. So if you like what I'm saying, or you like these videos, please like them or share them on Facebook. And also you can join me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and my YouTube channel, all under the name of Sherry Forsyth. As always, I so appreciate your time, and I look forward to doing the third video on authenticity next week.